thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah, really appreciate your time, and we're here starting to Oompher's technology sector, so exciting times. Oompher is all about inspiring people to achieve extraordinary things, so who and what during your career in life has inspired you?
Well, I'm going to go with my mother. Yeah, parents are always one of those great inspirations in life, but my mother, because she was just an amazing woman and she never let any obstacle get in her way. She was a paraplegic. She raised me and my brothers as a solo mother, and she was a pretty inspirational woman, and that was the one biggest lesson that I took away from life with mum, is that you just do hard and you don't let any obstacle get in your way. You know, as long as you retain a positive outlook on life, nothing's impossible. There is no such thing as a problem that you can't solve.
Okay, yeah. Great. So has that mentoring aspect been quite important to you in business as well? Having mentors and people to sort of support you and starting up Vend and other businesses that you've been involved with?
Yeah, so I suppose you look to surround yourself with other people that you can lean on. It's quite lonely in business because you're constantly feeling like you need to know all the answers, and the reality is, in this day and age at least, you're moving so fast that you're kind of making stuff up as you go along.
Yeah.
And so what you want to do is have a good collection of strong people around you that you can bounce ideas off, and be upfront with them to say, I don't know the answer here, I don't know quite what I'm going to do next, but this is what I'm thinking, and just to get that validation. Because you're one person, and there's no way that you're going to be a domain expert on every element of business, on sales and marketing and product, and so you need to find those people. And that's quite hard. This trips a lot of people up because I think it's that imposter syndrome where you constantly feel like you need to have all the right answers all the time. And that's what I learned pretty early on, is trusting other people. If you've got smart people around you, delegate to them and trust them that they will go away and find the right answer. And then when they come back to you, trust it. And it's such a liberating feeling as well, because as one person, if you want to grow something from where it is today to something big, you need to make sure that it scales. And one person does not scale. And so, I've kind of earned a nickname around here, which is like Chief Delegation Officer. And that's really what it comes down to for scale, is like, you have a problem, find the best person who can solve that problem and get them on it.
Yeah. So having smart people around is vital.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And you should not ever be anxious about hiring people or surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a cool environment to be in, being the dumbest person in the room.
Absolutely. And where did you come up with the idea for Vend, Vaughan? Was it a sort of a gap you saw in the market, or did it just sort of come to you, or what happened there?
Yeah, I guess it was a combination of things. It's never usually just one thing. I was looking around for an opportunity. I'm an engineer by background, and I had this big engineering hammer that I wanted to swing around and solve problems. But I'm also a businessman, and so I looked for a huge market opportunity, and I took inspiration from what others like Xero was doing in the small business space, and seeing this whole transition to the cloud. And I could see that this is the way that things were going to be going. We've been through this period of consumer B2C online stuff, and now we're starting to see that move well into the mainstream of small business. And so I just had a look around, and it's kind of like, well, what are the big verticals in business that are monster markets, where there's a lot of potential customers? And retail just instantly leapt out, and it just so happened to coincide with working with a few retailers on another project and seeing the sorts of tools and software that they had to use. And that was when the light bulb moment happened. It's like, the stuff you're using is horrible, it's terrible, and the cloud computing is something that's going to start revolutionizing business. And join those two dots together, and the market was huge, and so it just became a no-brainer.
Yeah, and you did quite a lot of almost selling the product before it was built. Is that an important part of business that too many people sort of overlook in terms of having that validation before putting everything into an idea? Yeah,
you can't oversell it. Like, you can't sell vaporware, but it's super important that if you're a product company, that you get that product into customers' hands as early as possible. The other thing that trips people up is that they feel like they've got to get the product absolutely 100% nailed right on day one, otherwise customers won't buy the product, and that's just not true. Most customers are happy with something that's just slightly better than what they're doing now, and so and they're very forgiving as well. Your product can have bugs and flaws and missing features and whatever, most customers in those early days are very forgiving of all that stuff, especially if you involve them in the whole process, which is like, what would you, how would you use the product, and if the product did this, would you like it, and what's missing from the product, and you involve them, because those initial 10, 20, 50, 100 customers, they will provide you the most valuable feedback. So the best thing you can do is get the product in their hands as quickly as possible.
Yeah, okay. So with more than 11,000 accounts in 120 countries, 250 transactions a day, the growth has just been incredible since 2010. How do you manage growth like that? I mean, the growth is just so extreme. Is it again about trusting people to be able to help pull the company forward? But for you as the sort of founder and CEO, how do you manage that and oversee that growth? Because surely it's just too big to be able to be on top of all of it.
Yeah, a good part of it is just hanging on. You know, if you're onto a good thing, you don't want to slow it down.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much my role, is removing all the roadblocks that are going to, create the stones on the road that are going to slow the wheels down.
Yeah.
To keep this momentum going. Because at the same time you're going after a huge opportunity, you're going through rapid growth, as you're scaling the organisation around it, that just adds that effect. It always slows things down. Right? You have to, going from one person to 150 people, you have to add layers.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you're not running too fast, and you're just not riding roughshod over everything.
So having good management layers in tier and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, and it's doing that stuff right up front, because it's really hard to retrofit that stuff. Yeah. So having good governance from day one, just so you're running a good process around running the business, and then getting those management layers right. We run a pretty flat structure here.
Yeah.
We don't want to have too much management. But sometimes it felt painful, because we were putting in this layer of, we just wanted to run fast and do stuff, but you'd get this layer of process that you needed to introduce. But long term, if you want to scale the business, you've got to have those good processes up front.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just run as fast as you can.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've said before that Vend launched globally on day one. Obviously that's probably quite a huge part of why the growth's been so extreme. Do you think enough New Zealand businesses, especially in the software field, are thinking globally enough?
It's quite tempting to go follow down the path of validating a product in your own backyard, and I agree with that totally, because those initial customers you want to be close to, because you want to just be able to pick up the phone, get in the car and go and sit with them. But you should only really do that for the first 10. And then you've kind of got your group of customers that you're going to get your validation from, and then it goes once you're comfortable that you've got that good market fit, that what you've got is sellable, then just go broad and wide, as wide as you can. And the good thing about a business like ours is it's all online, it's all digital. So going international is, we can do that. You don't have to put things in boxes and ship them. So that's not a barrier anymore. But you've also got to be mindful that the rest of the world does not think like New Zealand. So in retail, there's a lot of things that are very universal in retail. But in each geography, the culture side of things, like how you sell it is different, how you talk to customers is different. And that's the thing that you should focus on.
Okay. And the culture here at Vend is pretty extraordinary. I mean, just looking around the office, it's pretty amazing, and everyone seems to be having a great time. So do you think that culture's been a really important part of the brand as well, in terms of the growth and building it up?
Yep, we were very intentional about our approach with our brand, because we were dealing in a space that was kind of boring. Retail software, not the most exciting, but retail is an industry that's all about brand and excitement. And we also just reflected back on our cultural norms of things that we valued, like looking after people and having fun and having a bit of a quirky sense of humour. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody we brought on board on the team identified with those values. So we all had fun hanging out with each other. So that's kind of the rule, which is, or the measure is, we hire people who we're happy to hang out with. Because then you create an environment where everybody's in a rush to get to every day. We have an open policy where you can work from home if you want. But I don't think anyone ever takes up that opportunity, because it's more fun to be in the office working with your peers. And then we make sure that that culture is consistent and is visible to the outside world as well. And I think that's really what has contributed to all of our success, because it's become a differentiator for us. So retailers look at our brand and go, there's real people, they've got a sense of humour, they're down to earth.
Consumers engage in that more as well, don't they?
And they like us. And so, and that just adds extra validation. You've also got to make sure the product is awesome as well, but having an awesome product and an awesome culture and people around it, it's just amazing.
Yeah, so for those people out there wanting to become technologists and get into cloud computing, what would be your advice around that?
It's pretty accessible these days. It's just a matter of having a laptop, right? And if you don't know coding, then there's a lot of online tools like Code Academy where you can go and very, very quickly pick up the basics. And it's not rocket science, right? I'm a self-taught coder, and I just play around with computers on weekends and evenings, back in my teens, and I was coding before I had any real formal training, so you don't need to, as long as you've got a passion for it, it's pretty easy to pick up. But definitely, if it's an area that interests you, there's a lot of great formal channels that you can go through to get a qualification, which definitely gives you a huge boost when it's time to start going into the industry. The thing that I tell everybody is that the industry is desperate for amazing technologists, and we don't have enough amazing technologists out there. So we want more, and there's huge opportunity, and it's an exciting industry, and you can do some world-changing stuff. It's cool. It's so cool. So I don't understand why there's not more people racing to get in the industry.
And what's your dream for Vend, Vaughan? What do you want Vend to become?
Bigger.
Yeah.
I think we're writing a pretty cool story. Building a global technology company from New Zealand, and that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me pretty excited about this, because so far we're nailing it. And I don't know, you can use different metrics and different numbers. It'd be cool to build $1 billion business, for example, because $1 billion, that sounds like a really cool number. But I'm just excited about spreading this vision, this idea, making it global, seeing. I think the thing I love most is you go to some random city on the other side of the world, walk into a retail store and see that they're using your product. There's nothing buzzier than that.
That's awesome, So for someone, just a few sort of quick fire questions to finish. For someone who's been in the entrepreneurial space for a long time now, what would you sum up as your top sort of 3 bits of advice for starting out entrepreneurs out there? What have you learned that you think's good advice?
Start.
Like
now. Don't wait. Don't create excuses as to why you shouldn't be starting. It's like you can be doing something right now. 2, surround yourself with other people who can help. Get them on board as soon as possible. You may need to raise some equity, maybe. Depends on how you're going to fund this thing. It's going to take money. That's a given. And number 3, just don't stop. Just keep going.
Persistence.
A big part of it is timing. And so you can have the great idea, you can have the great people, you can have all the resources in the world, but if you get the timing wrong, then it's going to be a steep uphill battle. And that's not something that a lot of people have a control over, the whole timing thing. But what you can control is how long you stay alive. So if you're a little bit too soon, if you've got this crazy idea, but maybe the market's not ready, you need to make sure that you can keep your idea long enough that when the market is ready, you're ready to go, you're ready to start, spinning the flywheel.
And was there a bit of entrepreneurial advice that you were given in the early days that has been at the forefront when you've created Vend that you can remember?
Raise a lot of money.
Just
because that's the model that we're following for building this business.
Got to have money to make it happen.
And we're an online play, and we work under a software as a service model. Highly technical business model. It's actually really complicated, but we make money from customers over a long period of time. And we've got to spend a lot of money up front in order to find those customers. And so, that's why we've grown from 1 person to 150 people in 3 years, because we need all those people to give us the exposure and to build the product. And they're expensive, right? And so we could have done it over a longer period of time and spent a lot less money, but we wouldn't have had the rapid growth that we're seeing today. And so don't be afraid to, go out, raise money, get equity, give away equity into the business to let you go faster.
And in terms of software globally, where do you think the key opportunities are today?
In the cloud, absolutely. I think the biggest opportunity is in the B2B space.
And what do you mean by that? Is that
business to business?
Okay.
So selling business tools to small businesses. That small business space is wholesalely moving to the cloud.
Okay.
Right? So they're moving off of a desktop-based software or
on-premise server-based,
paper, nothing at all. And they're moving on to online solutions like Vend and Xero and things like that.
Cool.
That's a huge opportunity. I think that the latest numbers around it is that the majority of all small businesses will be on the cloud using cloud software by 2020.
Okay, so Vaughan Rowsell, to finish with your signature moustache about epic music playing, can you look down our camera right there and tell us, what are your wise words for the people of New Zealand?
Be impatient and stay impatient. There's nothing wrong with being impatient, because that gives you the impetus to start something now, and chances are if you've got the crazy idea, you're going to be the most passionate about it, and you need to get other people along on the journey. And so the best way to do that is be impatient, and talk to a lot of people and inspire them and get them to see your vision, and never slow down. As soon as you start slowing down, then that's when things are going to start to falter. So keep impatient, go as fast as you can, and start yesterday.
Great, Vaughan, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's good talking.